So, welcome to the Energy Star Talk.
Thank you for having me.
Good to have you back in Germany.
It's good to be back in Germany.
How is it to be back and talk about new music?
I don't plan... So the first time I ever came to Germany and had new music, my first music, I came and I was talking about it for ages. And it was a long time until I did a show. This time, I plan to tell everybody about the new music and then come and do shows a lot sooner. But it's great to be back in Germany. I've always loved my fans in Germany. My fans in Germany have always been very loyal.
And how does James Bay in 2018 sound like?
At the moment, I've put one single out called Wild Love. And I chose this single as the first single for a reason. It sounds quite different. It was actually one of the first songs that I wrote for this new album. And when I finished the song, I sat back and I listened to it. And I was really proud of it. Really enjoyed what it was. And I decided in that moment, I knew that it wasn't music for the guy in the hat with the long hair. It was for a new version. It was for a different James. So obviously I changed and I've evolved, and that's also what my sound has done. There are more synthesizers and programmed drums and affected sounds, as well as organic sounds, real drums, guitars. All of those things still exist in my music. Sometimes less, and just sometimes in different ways. But this is the most exciting thing about my new music, is it's changing and evolving. And that's all I wanted to do. And
Wild Love, what does it mean to you personally?
I mean, Wild Love is a great example, I think, of how my confidence has grown as a writer and as an artist and as a performer. Wild Love there's definitely a lot of kind of anxiety in the song, in the lyrics, and that exists in a lot of the songs that I write. But there's also a lot of confidence, and the opening line of the chorus, I want to give you wild love, the kind that never slows down. That's me getting to the point. The verses, they talk about different things, smaller details, and I think in a lot of my older songs, I was afraid to get to the point. So it means a lot to me, Wild Love, because it's a good example of how I've evolved.
And next question is, because you changed your style, do you have to talk about your new haircut as well in every interview?
What do you think?
Yes.
I do have to talk. Of course I do. Somebody said to me on a red carpet the other day, okay, we just need one-word answers. Give us one word about your new haircut. I said, shorter. I didn't know what else to say. The new haircut and not wearing the hat anymore and using different instruments and presenting myself differently. That's one of the most exciting things to me. When I think for a second about what it might have been like to just be the same artist for this second album, that sounds so boring. I confess, I just think that's boring. And it felt like the wrong way to treat my fans. My fans gave everything to my first album, and I will appreciate that forever. But I know that, that's an album I released 3 years ago. Some of that music came out 5 years ago. I don't think any of my fans are the same person today that they were 5 years ago or 3 years ago. I think they've changed, so I've changed too.
And when you are on tour, what's the thing that you miss most?
Home. The only thing you can't have on tour is home, so you have to create your own travelling home. So I miss that. Sometimes I miss like a pub, which is something that exists a lot in England. I don't go to them all the time, but when I go to a pub, I do love it. So I miss that sometimes when I'm away.
But you can have beer everywhere.
You can have beer everywhere, but in different atmospheres. Beer in a bar in America is a different experience to beer in a pub in England, and beer in a restaurant or in a bar in Germany is a different experience. Sometimes in Germany it's a better experience.
What are the top 3 things that you still have on your bucket list?
Well, my bucket list really just consists of wanting to play bigger and bigger venues. I still want to play places like the Budokan in Japan. Like that's a really sort of important historic venue. I want to do a world tour where every venue is an arena. That's not to say that I want to play in arenas for the rest of my life, but I definitely want to do a world tour, sold out world tour, where every venue is an arena. I want to do a world tour of stadiums. If I really have my way, I would be able to play in stadiums eventually. But there's a lot of work to do. That doesn't mean that stuff isn't on my bucket list, though. It's there.
And next question would be, what are the top 3 things that you always carry with you?
Top 3 things that I always carry with me. One of them is called a Nintendo Switch. This is a games console. I spend a lot of my time on aeroplanes for like 11 hours at a time. It gets quite boring. I'm not complaining, but I do it a lot, and it gets quite boring. And I'm already like bored of watching back-to-back movies. But I love this game, FIFA. FIFA, the football game, is like the greatest game of all time. And I could play it for 11 hours. So I bought a Nintendo Switch and I play it on aeroplanes, playing FIFA for 11 hours. So that's one of the things I always carry with me. Another thing I always carry with me is pen and paper. You know, we can write stuff on our phones all the time, but I like putting pen to paper. I like to scribble and doodle and sketch things down and actually write lyric ideas down. So I've always got pen and paper on me. And I think I always have my passport on me. I need it pretty much the entire time, so yeah.
And last question would be, presuming that you are able to cook, what are the top 3 go-to dishes that you can cook?
Beans on toast.
Which is nice.
Yeah, who doesn't love that? I can cook a pretty good chili. I mean, it's like the most basic one, but it's basic and brilliant. And some sort of curry. These are meals that you can do in one pot. One pot meals, that's all I can do. You've presumed I can cook, and it's not like I can't cook, but I'm really, really not very good. So, but I'm talking it up.
3 things,
There
that's
you go.
good.
Yeah.
So hopefully seeing you soon, and
Yes.
good luck with the album.
Thank
Really
you.
excited to hear more.
Thank you.
And thanks so much for the interview.
Of course.